Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to Gratitude Happy Hour. I'm Teri Angel, your host, and so happy to be with you today. It's Tuesday, and this week is off to a great start for me anyway, and I hope it is for you as well. There's so much exciting stuff that's happening in our world right now, and changes that are happening that are just mind-blowing with all of the energy, the harmonic convergence. Everything that's taking place right now is exciting. And I am so excited that we are going to have a beautiful conversation during this hour. My guest co-host is Dr. Jill Briska, and she utilizes the Triad of quantum healing to assess the structural, chemical, and emotional factors of the whole person toward customized health and wellness. I love that. While a trained chiropractic, she has stepped into more advanced healing methodologies that scan the body for issues and apply quick and easy solutions for optimum health and wellness. A huge plus is that her healing modalities are implemented without an office visit. Well, that's certainly important in this day and time. Right. Welcome, Jill. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for asking me to come.
Oh, absolutely. I met you through a mutual friend, and then we served on a panel discussion together online. And I love your energy. You're just beautiful, beautiful inside and out. And I'm just honored. I'm honored to have you here and to introduce you to my audience here at Enlightened World Network. So.
Well, right back at you. It was a really interesting panel discussion. And, you know, those the topic was diversity. And, you know, that is a topic that needs a lot of attention these days. And I think it's something that its time has come to really, let's take a look at it. No matter what side of the fence you're on, we can look at that and really open up the discussion. It's an really big opportunity.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, on this show, the angels have guided me to deal with the emotional aspect of what's going on in our lives. So as we have discussed a bit, you also work very closely with healing that emotional aspect and what you are doing now. And let's talk about how that happened for you, how you mentioned the triad and all that quantum energy healing. How did that come to be that you recognize the importance of us healing emotionally?
Yes. Well, I've been a chiropractor for over 20 years, and most of my time practicing has been musculoskeletal work. And I thought I was practicing what is called the Triad of Health, which is looking at structural, chemical, and emotion and the emotional aspects of health. And, you know, I would say, okay, well, you know, structurally, you know, work out, do your exercises, or chemically, you know, eat good food and, you know, take some supplements, and emotionally, you know, try to stress less, those kind of things. And that's a good start, but there's much more to that triad. And I realized it when I was practicing. I was downtown in the financial district of Chicago, and I would have a lot of traders and a lot of very busy type A personalities. And when they would come in, they were, you know, their shoulders are almost in their ears. Everything is so stressful and fast paced. And they'd lay down on the table, and we'd do our physical therapy and some soft tissue work and things like that. And because I was you know, with HIPAA compliancy, and, you know, I don't know who you're talking about, and this is, you know, doctor patient, you know, confidentiality. They would just tell me what was going on, and you could feel as they talked about these things, you know, between human touch of working on, you know, structurally helping that, but emotionally, that was so much of their stuff going on. And I really enjoyed that part. So that that is what most of my practice was like. I knew that there was something underlying, but really was not focusing on it. And then I had the opportunity, life opportunity, to get very, very sick. And I did not know what was wrong with me. I had a mystery illness that no one could figure out. My face would swell and my hair was falling out, and I was down to 3 to 5 foods, and just my body was going into shutdown. And I came across, you start really looking under every rock. You start the stuff that seemed kind of woo-woo and, well, that can't possibly work kind of stuff. You start looking at it going, well, maybe I'll try that. And so that's when energy medicine came into onto my radar and into my world. And I knew immediately with the first treatments, I started with NAET, N-A-E-T. I don't know if you know about that, but it's little vials that you put in your hand, and then you do a treatment. It encompasses a lot of different things, but I knew that it made a change, and I hadn't seen a change in a long time. And I knew that there was something to the energy medicine, and started really looking into it. And then I changed my direction, but changed my modality from the NAET and the vials to something called CyberScan, which is really, it's basically reads the body. You can do it through saliva or through your hair. You send it to me, and then it reads it. It's based on quantum physics, so there's a lot of science backing this up, but it looks at the whole body and will check to see where is there a priority decrease in frequency, because that's how the cells communicate. So that is, that came to me, and I think everything comes to you when it's supposed to, and just when the path rises to meet you, you jump on, and that's what I did. And I've loved it, and I have seen so many positive things with it. But I really do believe that when it comes to healing, it's about the person. I can help you, but really it comes down to the way that you think, you feel, and where you feel, you vibrate, and where you vibrate, you create. And it can be for health, or it can be illness, it can be happiness, or it can be, you being miserable. But we're so powerful.
We are, and the healing really does happen inside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's physical things like broken bones and, things like that structurally, but the healing that really takes place comes from inside of us. And I think it was Louise Hay that was really the first one that brought this information out to us with "you can heal yourself," and then explained all the affirmations and the positive energy that you take on that's really helps your cells to repair themselves. And that's where the healing happens. So yeah. I love hearing about these other techniques because I wasn't familiar with them, but I am familiar with quantum touch. I've studied that and do some of that type of healing myself, incorporated in my energy healing. So I'm very aware that we do bring that healing power through into our bodies and into our cells. And I love that your training has taught you how to do the healing that's needed, but then you realize and recognize that there's so much more than just what your training gave you as a doctor.
Yes. Well, they teach us when we're in chiropractic school that the body has innate intelligence. I mean, it's how our body knows how to fix a scrape, or innate intelligence is anything that is like how a flower knows to face the sun as the day goes on, or how a baby knows how to drink the bottle and get the body's able to take the nutrients from the milk or the breast milk, or our bodies really do know what to do. And when we have disease, or something is not functioning correctly, it's telling us something, and we need to pay attention to it. And when I was talking about the Triad of Health, when, so you have structural, chemical, and emotional. So say that you have something going on emotionally, and you don't take the cues that your body is telling you, like, when you have anxiety or you have depression or, the different, or anger, you're not picking up on the cues. You're not doing anything about it. You're just stuffing it down. Your body's going to be like, well, if you're not going to listen to me this way, how about I'm going to give you maybe another opportunity. Pay attention, because I'm not going to process your food correctly. I'm going to give you digestive issues, or I'm going to give you headaches, or I'm going to give you back pain or neck pain or headaches. So it's another opportunity for you to look at what's the underlying thing going on. And then, we really, as we go along, I think we do start giving the stuff that we haven't acknowledged. We get more and more opportunity as we get older, because you're like, I'm falling apart. It's like, well, there's probably stuff that you've been carrying for a long time that you really just haven't sorted out. Let's take a look at it.
Right. Oh, I love this. And, it's kind of like the kid that just keeps trying to get your attention. And the more you ignore it, the more that does a number on that child for being ignored. So it's like you don't ignore those things that's happening inside of you that really do require some attention. And are you familiar with Greg Braden and the research that he has done? Well, I studied with Greg for some breathing. It's called the Heart-Brain Coherence with HeartMath Institute.
Oh, yes.
And Greg showed us pictures, evidence of people that were living into their hundreds, still functioning, still being productive in the community. And there was one that I think was close to 200 years old. And these people understood, because he went in and talked to them. He's like, what are you all doing? How are you able to maintain your health and carry on with your human body? They understood the power of the breath, and they understood listening to their bodies. And when something is not right, getting to the root of that, like, why is that there? Why is it happening that way? So there's so much research that has been done into exactly what you're saying, that we really need to pay attention when maybe our arm hurts, and why is it hurting? Or, I've got some foot pain, whatever it might be, that's just that little nudge that something's not quite right. And don't let it go to the point where all of a sudden it's like a whole big thing that you're going to have to deal with and get that medical attention for.
I think most people, no matter if you are on the allopathic, traditional Western medicine side, or you get into more alternative stuff, or somewhere in between, I think that most of us now can agree that stress causes problems in our body. And I think even, traditional medicine is starting to embrace that those are things that you need to be looking at, as opposed to there's a pill for that, there's a surgery for that kind of stuff. But I'd like to see it eventually, because even alternative stuff and energy stuff it's a big umbrella, and there's so many things that you can implement. You got to know what you can follow through with, what speaks to you, what is true. And then you can find, under this umbrella, all of these different kinds of things that could be helpful. And then you've got the alternative. And then you just have health care. And it should be like a big spectrum. Because when I was in my 20s, I went out, I went through a windshield and landed on the road. I was in a horrible car accident. I didn't want to get my chakras balanced.
No.
I needed surgery. I needed medication. And right. I tell you, they patched me up real good, and I'm here to talk about it. But for the long-term stuff, I don't want to be on pain medications long term, what that
Right.
does to your body long term. So hopefully the world is being broken open at this point, and we're starting to question our institutions and just the status quo.
Right.
And we're looking to hopefully, working together. I'm hopeful.
I'm hopeful as well. I went through surgery last year. I went through breast cancer and ended up I had like several surgeries last year.
Oh.
And one of my very dear friends is a Reiki master. So she accompanied me for the surgery. She was in there until they just finally said, okay, we're taking her away now. And so she was doing Reiki for me before the surgery. And she also did it during the surgery and after. And the surgeon that I had, knew her, and he's very open and aware that it makes a difference. And when he said, the surgery went so well, no complications, nothing that, and it was fast, everything proceeded, so there was no delay in what they were doing. And I think doctors are starting to recognize that now, that these energy healing techniques, the energy healing techniques make a difference. And it makes a difference in the whole emotional side of the patient too, to know that you have that kind of support from people that are doing that for you.
Yeah, people don't like it when they only have one answer. Like, if you only have one tool, if your only tool is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Oh, I love that analogy.
So, but the use of we should have a toolbox, and then people love it or feel more comfortable when they have a few choices to make. This is not an opportune time to get a tickle in your throat.
Right.
So, but the toolbox should be very accessible to everyone. And I'm not able to take insurance because what I do is not covered by insurance. I'm not heartbroken about that. I did not like dealing with the insurance companies overall, but they were telling you what they want you to do. Like I would have a patient that would be a perfect candidate for acupuncture. And at that time, I would try to, put that through, or I'd send, that was my plan. And they would like, no, we need you to do, the physical therapy and the adjusting first. And then if that doesn't work, then you can resubmit or reapply, and then we can use that. It's more accepted now than it was, at that time. But you still have where your hands are tied with what is acceptable with insurance. So, but yeah, it's when people say, I didn't have any, this was my option. He said this was the option and that was it. Energetically, you're being not bamboozled. What is it? Like Shanghai, your health has been Shanghai, and you're corralled into, this is the only choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I've dealt with that my whole life, where I was told you have to be on this medication the rest of your life. There's no other way. You have to do this. There's no other way. And I've always been the rebel. And I was always the one that said, I don't think so. Let me see if there's another way. If there's not one, I'll make another way. So, but you're right. It does this number on us emotionally when you're told that. And we have two options, right? We can either just accept it and shrink back and say, okay, that's my only option. Or we can say, wait a minute, there's got to be a better way. And those are the words of all the innovators. There has to be a better way. And that's when your brain starts going out on a mission to say, okay, what is that other way? What is that better way? So yeah, I totally agree that when we're told something that, that's it, nothing else, we really do start to go into some process where we're either going to fight it or we're going to just lay back and accept it.
Right. Well, when I got really sick and was trying to figure out what what was going on when I initially went into my MD, and it was female. She was female.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, something's seriously wrong with me. My face is swelling and my hair is breaking off. And, you know, I'm just exhausted all the time and everything like that. And she had been working. I've been hypothyroid for, sometime in the, I don't know, early 2000s. So, you know, I had already had that monitored and everything like that. And I had switched from Armour, which is a natural thyroid medication, to a synthetic. And my body was not responding well to it. It was actually not able to, you need to convert from the T4 to the active, which is like the T3. Well, that was being missed. And that was, you know, one layer of the problem.
Right.
If you don't get to that layer, then other things come along with it if you don't address it, you know. And so when I went in, and she's like, well, we're going to raise your thyroid medication again. And I'm like, something's really wrong. And she's like, well, you're getting old and you are probably, you're depressed. I think you're depressed. And I'm going to give you a prescription for an antidepressant. And I'm like, well, it's depressing to lose your hair and to look like Quasimodo, but I'm not depressed. And it didn't come, you know what I mean? Like, it's a chicken and egg kind of situation here.
Right.
And then she's like, oh, and your cholesterol has gone up. I'm going to talk to you about going on a statin. And so I basically like ran out the door. Never
Thank you. I'm so glad.
And the journey started. But you know, those are the things that you want a doctor that looks at you as a whole, you know, not a pieces parts, because, you know, they don't sometimes do the correct blood work. You know, they can, you know, yes, the cholesterol is up, but what else was happening?
Right.
Where are other things that are problematic? And sometimes when your estrogen has changed, it changes your cholesterol. So those are the things that you want a functional doctor or an MD, like the MD that you're talking about, that is embracing having somebody come in and, you know, do Reiki during the surgery. I mean, those are the working hand in hand to maybe look a little bit deeper before we just hand you out a medication, which there's a time and a place for it. But
right.
You know, so I was very, you know, being that this is Gratitude Happy Hour, I was so grateful that I came across these different, you know, the different doctors and the different people that helped me along the way to open my eyes to what else is out there. I mean, going from a healthy person, you know, in essence, you know, I had back stuff, but when you go from being like, oh, spot on with all your blood work and another great checkup, to being sick, it opened my eyes to, wow, the people that get sick and they don't know what to do with them, or they have questions, they really get the runaround, they get dismissed.
Yes.
And basically saying, well, this is, you know, well, you're the problem. Here's a pill.
Yeah.
Exactly. Eye-opening.
It is. It's very eye-opening, and it's very frustrating for the patient. I understand that frustration. You know, I've been through that before, where the doctors didn't have an answer, and so they just kind of dismiss it. They don't really even try to answer your questions. They don't know what to do, so they don't have an answer to tell you. So what was that resolution? Did you find a doctor that would then really listen to you?
Yes. Now I have a functional medicine doctor that I see, and she looks, because it went on for so long that I was not able to process the synthetic thyroid. My thyroid basically started turning on itself. So I was diagnosed along the way with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. And so they now, every time I get my blood work done, I have a full panel done. Because once you look at the full panel, you get the story. I mean, if you just look at like the markers, sometimes that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's like, okay, and you're the Titanic.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to know what you're dealing with. And so it's sometimes if things aren't making sense and you keep upping medication, you got to look under the surface and find out what's the backstory. So that was one aspect of it. And now my markers are zero. For a year and a half, almost going on 2, there's been no antibodies, the autoimmune, the markers, the TPO or TGO, whatever. It's zero. It's zero. And that has to do with the other stuff that you do. You know, there's the medication, but also it's the thinking, feeling, vibrating and creating. It is eating food that nourishes your body and your gut lining. I mean, the gut is so important. You know, it's 80% of our immune system. So what comes along with autoimmune diseases and a lot of illnesses, problems, is a leaky gut or gut permeability. And so with this COVID thing, I am shocked that more people are not talking about, our gut is 80% of our immune system. Let's get that on the news. Let's talk about that and what can you do to heal? And, we have such, the American diet is notorious for being lacking and stuff. So yeah, it's lots of doctors and lots of visits to very knowledgeable people. And it just, helpful. But what really was the game changer was the energy medicine and the cyber scan that I do now. I went to, the path that I was talking about, like when it comes, it's there and you jump on.
Yes.
I met a biological dentist and she had a little card on her, on a lanyard around her neck. And I'm like, oh, so what do you have there? And she told me about what she was doing. And my mouth just dropped. I'm like, this is what I'm doing, but on steroids. And how easy is this? All you have to do is wear a card. Oh my gosh. So I was off to Australia to get training and had my first treatment there. And within a week, my face was not swollen. I tell you, it's one of those things that it's the missing piece. Energy is the missing piece to health. It's the missing piece to so much, to happiness, to everything. It's what we are. So when the energetic piece is put into, because I couldn't do any structurally, I couldn't do anything more. I was doing everything that I could. I had avoided doing, like I couldn't exercise very well after a while because I was so weak, but I took out all of the chemical stuff, no coffee, no alcohol. I mean, I was down to 3 foods. How much more can you do? 30 supplements. And then emotionally, you have to do your work and you're looking at those things. But energetically, that was the piece for me that was missing. And when that was addressed, the rest of everything else that I was doing all like just came together. It was like, now we have this, now we're cooking with gas.
Wow, that is so awesome. I'm loving hearing this because I'm so right there with you. I totally agree. The energy healing, I understand, like with some of it, quantum touch, I have seen miracles happen. I have seen bones go back together and physical evidence of that happening. But like Reiki, all of the ones that I deal with, I have an energy healing that I do called Time Heals. It all does help increase that, the inside healing to take place. So I think it's been discounted for way too long, and now it's finally being seen for what it's worth, that it is what will help us. So I am happy to hear about this new type of energy healing modality, and I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
But,
Well, when we're all energy, I mean, when you come right
yeah,
down to it,
exactly.
it's how our cells communicate. We're mostly vibration. Like me sitting in this chair, the chair feels solid, but it feels solid because, 90% of it is space. There's only a small percentage of actual matter, but it's vibrating so fast that it feels solid. And I'm not even really touching the chair. I am hovering over the chair. And when you start looking at quantum physics and how weird that all is with the, it's not a theory, it's been proven, is that the subatomic particles, when you look at them, they change what they're doing because they know they're being observed. So what can you change by observation? What are you focusing your attention on? What, are you choosing to see positive, lovely things or the good and stuff? Or are you observing pain, suffering, and we're all doomed? It's at the subatomic level. That's what quantum physics is talking about. And it can change. It can change it by observation. Amazing.
I love it. And I loved learning quantum touch because it goes into all of that, everything that you just explained. You really get an understanding of what that is and what matter is, and all of the makeup of everything that we think is solid. We think it's just, right there. We can touch it, we can hold it, but it's really moving, and everything is in movement. And that's why, when we do energy healing, it doesn't matter if that person is right there in front of us or if they're 3,000 miles away. It all works the same. And that's why I loved your statement that you didn't have to have an office visit, because you can do this anywhere you are.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And, because what I do, what the cyber scan, and it's called biocybernetic medicine is the fancy name for it, but it is when that is scanned, the database has 140,000 different vibrations, like where each thing, because everything is vibration, it should have a frequency. And if there's a decrease in that frequency, it will tell you, and it will tell you the priorities. This is where the problem is. So like sometimes people think that they have a problem with one thing, but it's a secondary or tertiary problem. You got to go for the big one, and that will clear up the secondary and the tertiaries that are lower on the totem pole. So it's an objective look at it. You can have your opinion, but when the report comes out, it's an objective finding, and then I send the person a report that kind of just summarizes it for you. You don't need a 14-page report to go through all this. And so I summarize it, and then I give you my notes at the bottom of like, well, this and this is coming together, and I'm seeing that. So I suggest maybe this or that, or take into consideration these things. Okay, so I can use my chiropractic, diagnostic and things like that together with this objective test. But then the card is downloaded with the balancing frequencies, and then that's sent off to you, and you wear that for 2 weeks. But I like to have the report, because then you can see, you're reading it and you're seeing it, and then you can be aware of it, and you can make also changes. So I'm giving you the tune-up, but you, as the energetic being that you are then potentiating it, and like synergistically, by seeing it and realizing it and knowing it and making other changes, it just will, you can really take off with it. It's
amazing.
Yeah, we're amazing. We're amazing. We're just amazing. Mm-hmm. Our bodies.
We really are.
Yeah.
We really are. And, when I was studying with Heart Math Institute, and I learned about how the cells can repair themselves with our focus, focusing positive energy in there, doing our deep breathing and really helping ourselves to heal, it all just takes place. That's all we have to do. We don't have to inject them with something or take a pill. It's like we can do that healing.
Yeah.
And I just love this new modality that I'm learning about. So is this something that anyone can do, or do you have to be medically trained to be able to do this?
So yes, I have my chiropractic background, and then you're trained
Right.
in that modality.
Okay.
But I do work with other health practitioners and veterinarians, because I also do this for pets, because pets don't have a way to communicate with us, right? I mean, they do, but sometimes, when they pee in the corner or they're shaking or they act out or whatever, it's like the triad. They are
Right.
telling us something, and if they can't get it through, because they can't say, hey, you know what, this is stressing me out. They internalize our illnesses. They can sense when we're sick, right? You've seen
Oh,
shows on this where the
yes.
dog knew that
Yeah.
the person had cancer before the person even knew. I mean, they just are on a different level, but they too can get sick because they're not able to say, this is hurting me, or I have pain there, or whatever. So I work with animals, and I work with vets, and so that they can continue with whatever protocol their doctor has them on, but it's just another thing to offer. So I really enjoy working with other practitioners a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
love
I'm behind the scenes, you know what I mean? So they're the one that is telling me what's going on, and I have no communication with the patient. They tell me, and then they communicate it with their patient.
I love hearing that. I just published a book on healing animals through energy healing. And that's something that I do and work with different animals. In fact, I've got a horse that I'm going to be working with this week.
Wonderful.
And trying to see what's going on with him. But I love all of this. We all work together. That's the
Yep.
thing, that collaboration. And we live in a world where for so long now, it's been like a competitive thing. And I think that's falling more away to where we're seeing the benefit of working with each other and not seeing anybody as a threat to what we do. There's more than enough in this world. We're in such an abundant universe. And if we can just pull our energies together and our resources together, what a difference we'll make in the world. I totally believe
so exciting. That. Yeah, if because I think where it comes in that we picture that life is like a pie, and we each, there's only so much pie to go around. I want my slice, and if I can get your slice too, all the better. But the universe isn't like that. It is abundant, as you said. So there's enough for everyone. And so to give, let's share this idea, and let's see how I can help you and you can help me. And by helping each other, we're helping others to find, it's very cool. And so it's a paradigm shift. I think that's coming more and more.
It is. I feel that. I feel there's been a real shift, even with the lockdown and the coronavirus. That was a time for us to really go inside and just ask the important questions. What am I doing here? What's this all about anyway, this thing called life? And I think many, many people did that during that time that we were sitting, for lack of a better word, we were just told to sit. And so we utilized our time. Some didn't. Some were just like worried about when they could get back out there. But for those of us that did the introspection, I think there's a lot of good that's going to come from what was gained during that period of time. And the more we can continue to do that, even as things start to open up and we're, it's not really a normal that we're back to, but it's the new normal, we can still take that time that's needed to be introspective and to say, how can we work together? And that was what I got during that time is how do we collaborate? How do we build communities where we're all trying to look for the same thing and our agenda is all in sync to really help each other and build each other up and be there to support each other. That's what I think has been missing for so long. And I
And
mentioned,
sometimes things have to get really messy. Change can come slowly, but then sometimes it feels like the rug is being pulled from underneath you and it leads to change. Some of the most significant changes that I've ever had in my life has put me in the position where you're going, I'm not going to make it. What is happening? And lots of tears and lots of worry and what's happening and confusion but then on the other side you're like, oh, look at what happened, and if that didn't happen, this wouldn't have happened. And
right, yeah,
so
yeah, and just knowing that we made it through it. That's the thing with when something happens in our life, because we're humans. We're going to have these struggles and these challenges throughout life. You've had many, it sounds like. I've had many. But to be on the other side of that, that's where you can stop and go, wow, I came through that. And I rose back up, just like the phoenix. After I went through that fire, I rose back up again. So it's those struggles that build our character, that help us to know that we can handle whatever comes our way.
Yeah.
And
that we can think what's next. Because,
what's next?
I mean, no sooner has something, you're like, okay, I'm good, I've overcome, that something else will show up. And, what can you do? Everybody thinks that, like, oh, a perfect life would be, the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the nice dog and a lovely marriage and a this and that. And if you can get that, great. But life is really, I tell my kids, it's more like going to the amusement park. You go and it's, sometimes you have to wait in line. Sometimes it's hot and sticky. Sometimes you go on a ride that you're scared to death. Sometimes it's like, yeah, this isn't the greatest ride, or you want to ride that one over and over and over again. But it's an adventure, and you aren't done till you're done. And what's going to happen next? Let's find out.
Yeah, exactly. The anticipation, the excitement of what could it be. That's what gets us and keeps us putting one foot in front of the other. And I have a dear friend, Karen Palmer, and she says, we choose every day. Is life going to be a playground or is it going to be a prison? Mm-hmm. And we make those choices. We make those decisions. So just anticipating that it could be something really good, that puts us in that mindset to then experience all that life has to offer and to be lifted up every day. And I love that we can do that. We have that free will. Yeah. And then,
and you can never mess it up, really. I don't think that we can really mess it up. It's just a choice that you've made. And if there's a day that you choose that you just want to be salty and sour and feel, mad or whatever, it's okay. When you're done with it, you'll make a decision that you can go to a different feeling. Mm-hmm. We are the creators of our existence overall by the choices that we make. And if you falter or you get into a hole, you can sit in that hole for a while. No judgment. It's when you are ready, you'll make that decision to get yourself out of the hole. You will find a way. Because that pressure to always be happy is it's like this thing that's set up for us. Like, if you have anything other than being happy, well, then that's an emotion. You're okay. We're multidimensional, multifaceted.
Exactly. I don't know if you've followed Abraham, the teachings of Abraham at all, but I love the emotional guidance skill. And what was explained was you don't go from devastation to exhilaration all in one step. You take the baby steps. You move out of maybe feeling a little sad to not feeling as sad. So you just increase that level as you go, and be gentle with yourself. So I love the way you explained it. And we are human. We have these emotions. And to try to pretend that we don't only causes the problems. So the more we stuff them down, the more they're going to come out one way or another.
You're not helping your fellow man by whitewashing everything and being like, no, I never feel like that. I'm always just happy as can be, and my life is wonderful. And then you're lying through your teeth, because none of us get a cakewalk, and so to be vulnerable. I mean, obviously you don't want to be like, what was that Saturday Night Live? Pat? No, it wasn't Pat. It was Debbie Downer, where she always had something negative to say or everything was bad. You don't want to be that person, but to be vulnerable and to share, that you've had trial and tribulation and everything's not been wonderful. When you never know who you're going to talk to, that might be just the message that they needed to hear that day, because then they don't feel so alone. Those kind of things. We're here to help each other in so many ways.
And that support is so important when we're going through anything. Just to know that we're not the only one that has these kind of feelings. So I love that. This has been so amazing to be here and talk with you today.
Fantastic.
So I had a conversation with you before we started, and you mentioned a book. Is your book published yet, or is it in the works?
Oh, well, it's been in editing. And so I'm hoping that by next month, it'll be ready to go. It's called The Great Panacea. And that is the cure-all, the great cure-all. And the great cure-all is us. We are the great panacea. And so, as I've mentioned a few times now, what you think, you feel, and what you feel, you vibrate, and what you vibrate, you create. And so that's the basis of the book. And I talk about that triad of health in the aspect of energetically, how can we, get that balanced life and really get it going, addressing our energy. So I know you've written 6 books. This is my first.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And one of our listeners, Sharon Boyle, has been listening to the show, and she says, can you recommend a book on quantum physics for beginners, please?
I like YouTube a lot. Like the What the Bleep, that movie.
Yes,
I think that's a good starter. And then there's people that are in there that, when you hear them talking, if you understand what they're talking about, then you can, look them up. But I reference YouTube all the time because it's a great way to find speakers that will explain it to you. In a way, not everybody, that's the umbrella, or that's the why we all should work together, because the way I explain things may not speak to somebody, but it'd be a perfect match for somebody else. So I would say, what the bleep is a
great one. I actually know the producer of that. Yeah, she's amazing, and that whole series, or the movie itself, the documentary, is amazing. So there you go, Sharon. What the bleep? I love my Sharon Boyle. She's in the UK, and she has a great sense of humor, and so she'll get that.
Wonderful.
And I wanted to say hello to everyone else that came in and listened today to this amazing person, Dr. Jill Briska. Jill, please share how we can get in touch with you and how we can find out more about this wonderful healing modality that you do.
Oh, yes. Well, my website is www.triadofhealth.com. Kintsugi, which is spelled KINTSUGI -wellness.com. And the modality that I use is cyber scan, which you can look up. That there's not a real lot because it is actually it's German engineering, and I think they use it more in Europe than they do here in the United States. There's not a lot of us practitioners here, but yeah, that, and so the book is on there, or more information on Cyberscan, the book, and different things that I'm doing are on there. So, and if anybody has any questions, I'm always available just to take a phone call. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for all this information today. I just looked down and saw 555. I'm very much into numbers, and fives are all about change. And that's what we're doing right now. We're adapting to so much change. And this is something, what you are doing is something that's going to help so many and help us to understand ourselves better as we get answers that we don't get otherwise, in traditional methods. So I'm so happy to hear this, and I hope that all of you that listened or will listen on the replay will definitely go check out the website and check out Jill's book. I'm going to check it out. So thank you, Jill, again for being here. This has been so amazing, and this hour just flew by. I was like, it can't really be that time, but it really is. So I appreciate you and your time that you've taken with us, and definitely want to have you on again in the future.
I love it.
I would love to have a panel discussion and have people that do energy healing modalities and have us all sit and talk, about that and how important it is in this day and time for us to recognize that that is something that will help us.
Yes.
Well,
I love
resources.
It. I love to do that. And thank you for having me on. And thank you for doing what you do. I mean, to get this out there so that more and more people can find out about it and get to know how important gratitude is. I mean, yes. Gratitude is really, no matter where you are on your journey, if you can find something to be have gratitude about, you're on your way.
Yeah, I say just try to find one thing. If you can find one thing every day to be grateful for, you're going to start seeing more that you're grateful for. And I love that. I start every day as soon as I wake up. Thank you, God, for another day. It's as simple as that. And then that sets your tone for the day to go into that gratitude.
It does set the tone, isn't that true?
Yeah. So I'm very grateful for you. I'm grateful for this time we've had together. And I look forward to many conversations and getting to know you better. Thank you so much again for being here. And to all of you, stay with Enlightened World Network. There's still more programs tonight. Robert Painley will be on at 7 o'clock. You get a little bit of a break in between now. But he'll be on at 7 o'clock with a show called Spirit Focus. And I'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight to do chanting. We chant 2 chants every night. We decided to make a commitment to 40 days of chanting for change. And I think we're on day 38 tonight. So we've been doing really miraculous things and seeing evidence that it makes a difference when we decide to take on an energy of upliftment in our lives. So stay with us. We still got more. Love you all and have a great night. Jill, thank you again. Bye, everybody.